Hello and welcome everybody to All Hallows Cleave, where we talk about Halloween, we talk about scary movies, horror games, and obviously, in this case, demented demon clowns dressed up as Santa Claus. My name is Kyle, and if you haven't guessed it, Terrifier 3 is out, and people are having reactions to the movie. Now, I've already actually covered this on my channel in a spoiler-free review, but if you've already seen the movie or you just generally want to know without having to subject yourself to the utmost gore, well then get ready, because tonight we're talking about Terrifier 3 with all the spoilers. So let's talk about the absolutely diabolical and messed upness that is Terrifier 3. So right off the bat, the opening scene. Let's talk about it. It's the middle of the night and a little girl wakes up her mom and dad telling her, hey, there are some footsteps that are on the roof. And of course she thinks it's Santa, and technically she's right. Mommy and daddy go back to bed and none the wiser. Until the little girl investigates and actually sees, oh my God, there's Santa down there and he's holding an axe. And instead of approaching Santa like the girl did in the trailer to this movie, she wisely hangs back and watches Santa art stalk around the house. And after unwrapping the axe, he goes upstairs to the brother's bedroom and proceeds to absolutely decimate him into a million pieces. Now here's the thing. Going into this movie, that's exactly what I was expecting. I mean, like I said, the first trailer for this movie literally showed and implied that this dude, Art the Clown, is going to be cutting up some kids. But I was actually surprised to see of how much restraint Damien actually had shooting these types of moments. And I'll jump into spoilers right now. We actually never really get to see a kid get killed. He definitely kills some kids, don't get me wrong, but most of the kid kills are honestly off-screen deaths. Now, it's pretty damn diabolical what he does, especially when the mother wakes up after seeing her freaking husband get hacked into pieces in her own bed. She runs into the brother's room and sees like all of his body parts and guts hanging everywhere with his head laying on the floor. So yeah, if you went into this movie not expecting that Terrifier 3 was going to be, you know, Terrifier 3, or if somebody was like, hey, let's go with the family, it's a Christmas movie, what could go wrong? I could definitely see some people walking out of it just with the sheer ness alone of the scene. But honestly, if you're walking out thinking that's going to be the worst of it, you are absolutely wrong. The scene then cuts to 5 years earlier, after the events of Terrifier 2, where the body of Art the Clown, completely deheaded, takes down the police officer investigating the scene and proceeds to get on a bus using the officer's head. It then cuts to Vicky, still in the insane asylum, actually feasting on the nurse with the disembodied new head of Art that she kind of gave birth to in the second film. And obviously, if you didn't know, she is the final girl, technically final girl turned into a demonic person evil thing from the very first Terrifier movie. After getting back onto a bus with Art's brand new head and new clothes from a person dressed up as him as Halloween, which was really funny, both of them go into hibernation mode and 5 years go by. Art and Vicky are then awakened by two, I think either maintenance or construction workers or maybe demolishers at that specific house, where it's enacted one of the more brutal kills of the entire movie, where Art literally takes like a box cutter and starts to literally peel the face back off of his own freaking skull while he's alive. While Vicky in the corner watches with a shard of glass that she proceeds to stick up a place that she really enjoys sticking things up with. Yeah, it's a pretty damn gross scene as well too. Which honestly, I still think is actually worse than the opening scene personally. While this is happening, our main girl Sienna has moved in with her aunt and uncle, as well as her niece Gabby. I do want to also mention too that Lauren Rivera is actually a really fantastic actress, and she 100% nails the whole PTSD role of this film. You can tell this girl has been through some stuff in her life. And even though we don't necessarily know a whole lot about her, I also don't think that knowing every single detail of her backstory is even necessary. One major complaint of like Terrifier 3 and really the entire Terrifier series is that there's not a whole lot of substance. And not like the actual movie The Substance, which you should absolutely see because that movie rips. But for me, honestly, where I would enjoy more story and more plot, that's not the reason why I'm watching these films. It has always been the showcase of gore and the showcase of Art the Clown as a character just being Art the Clown. And not gonna lie, the story and where this movie is going, I have actually really invested to see what happens. Because obviously, spoiler if you didn't already know, they are making a Terrifier 4, possibly a fifth one too. And quite honestly, I think this This fourth one is gonna be so insane. Or at least Damien better make this one the absolutely most crazy of the entire series. Because if you didn't already know, we're going to hell. We are legitimately going to hell. It's really funny because it feels like he's literally going all the way back to like the very first debut of Art with the Ninth Circle. And I am absolutely here for it. After Art awakens from his slumber, he finds himself in a bar which he believes, or at least fake believes, is the actual Santa Claus. With two massive horror legends, Daniel Roebuck and Clint Howard. And the way that he messes up that Santa Claus, damn. Sprayable liquid nitrogen to the hands, the feet, the legs, and in this case also the face. Art then dons the Santa Claus costume and the actual beard of Santa. And now we finally have the iconic Art Santa, which I didn't think would be as iconic as it really would until he finally puts on the costume, and I'm like, this is so nuts. I really did not think I needed Art in a Santa suit, but yeah, I'm very glad we have Art in a Santa suit. So after getting the Santa suit, what does Art decide to do? Well, he wants to be Santa. That's where the mall scene kicks in, and yeah, it's interesting. And the first thing that Art the Clown does as Santa in a mall is replace the mall Santa while he's on break and decides to hand out toys and presents to all the kids waiting in line. Now, anybody on like a normal scale level would probably look at Art the Clown dressed as Santa and think, there is absolutely no way in hell I am walking up to Santa, sitting on his lap, especially like bringing my kid like anywhere near him. Deadass, I would absolutely sit on Art the Clown Santa's lap, especially if he was giving out presents. I mean, like, come on. But unfortunately, in one of the most diabolical displays of Art the Clown, he gives a present to one of the kids who opens it up and it turns out to be an entire bomb. Dude literally bombed a mall. Now in my brain, I think he took down like 20 something people. But I believe on the news report that the uncle eventually finds out, it says something on the lines of, I think, 5 gone and then like 6 or so in like severe critical condition. We're not specifically told if they're kids or not, but I mean, I'm gonna assume that the one that actually opened up the present, he's like everywhere right now. But like I said in the beginning, very much like the opening scene, it's not necessarily graphic, it's not necessarily like, oh my god, I can't believe him, you know, like that kind of thing, like a lot of people were expecting. Is it absolutely diabolical? Yes, 100%. He literally freaking blew up a kid in an entire mall. Is it enough to completely make me upchuck in a theater? Absolutely not. However, the shower scene with the chainsaw? No, but that would have been probably the closest. Because the one super annoying podcast girl and her boyfriend are having some very fun together showery time. As Art decides to join them at their college party, he then eviscerates, and I mean eviscerates them with a chainsaw. This is probably one of the most graphic scenes in the entire movie. But notice how I said it's not disturbing. I mean, it is disturbing, but not the most disturbing. That's for later, honestly. But quite honestly, like if he didn't do that type of damage to those two people, especially the chainsaw going up the ass, I mean, that was absolutely personal, and so was the foot smell. But like you put Art the Clown with a chainsaw, like, and if he didn't go up the ass with if he didn't go up the ass with it, I probably would have been mad, because I mean, like, the opportunity is there, and why waste it? But the flipping the dude over and literally going like up the middle all the way through, kind of like a reverse hacksaw. Yeah, that was gnarly, especially seeing all the bits. Like you see most of the bits, but it was pretty freaking cool. And I haven't even really mentioned that all in between these moments, we're getting these really good sections of Sienna really kind of just recovering and trying to restart life again. I also really enjoy the difference between how Sienna and her brother Jonathan are trying to handle the situation. Jonathan, who in the second movie, who was clearly obsessed with Art the Clown and all this horror and metal stuff, is now just straight up done with it and wants to completely forget it and move on, which I totally respect. But since Sienna's more kind of the catalyst and bridge between like the good and evil world, she's constantly getting hounded by all these awful visions of her like mutilated friends, and also having the Clown Cafe song stuck in her head, which same girl. With these really cool moments with our characters, like, it really does actually help the pacing. I mean, the pacing alone is 1,000 times better in Terrifier 3 than it is Terrifier 2. Really, overall, the entire movie's better, but I'll get into that later. In the ending climactic scene, we find that Victoria and Art have actually captured Sienna in her uncle and aunt's home, tied her up in a chair across from her aunt. This, I gotta say, is definitely probably the most disturbing kill in the entire movie, but also one of the more interesting scenes, especially just the character of Victoria. She, in my opinion, is actually scarier than Art. Now, I'm not saying this movie is necessarily scary, but compared to the two, like, I'm way more desensitized to Art the Clown, especially like nowadays, because he's everywhere. But Victoria, damn, she creepy. She's got the menacing voice, the one eyeball sticking out. She kind of steals the scene almost every scene she's in. But I love the two of them together, specifically because Victoria talks and Art doesn't. And I really enjoy the dynamic that Damien Leone brought to, like, the character of Art and the whole demonology to him. Because really, in my opinion, what Victoria is what the Pale Girl was in Terrifier 2. Victoria is like this vessel that's connected to Art. And I believe that the demon that is inside Victoria is the same one that resurrected Art in the second movie. Now, question is if they're the same demon. I don't really know. Maybe they just work hand in hand. But this movie basically confirms that obviously Art is from another world, or in this case, I think he's just a demon from hell. I literally think that Art is from one of the 9 circles of hell. And even though a lot of people just liked seeing a sadistic person dressed up as a clown running around just messing with people, I really don't mind what Damien Leone did with the character of Art. I think the supernatural touches to his character, I think they work. I think they work really well, actually. Definitely gives him a little bit more of a longevity, especially like how he ended things in Terrifier 1, and I guess in this case, Terrifier 2 as well. But anyway, getting to the very climactic scene, it's interesting what they do here. Victoria is basically speaking to Sienna and her aunt, unveiling the fact that they actually killed Gabby, and revealed that after unwrapping this cage that is containing like almost her skinned head with all these rats walking around it. It's a pretty crazy scene that follows a really crazy kill. They literally shove a tube down the aunt's throat and stuff rats down it, and you can literally see them going down her freaking gullet to the point where they end up just cutting her throat and the rats start falling out of it too. Oh man. Definitely the more, if you hadn't gotten sick before and you're like, oh, this isn't so bad, you probably might have gotten sick at the rat scene. And quite honestly, I'm kind of shocked what they did at this next part. Probably the saddest kill in the entire Terrifier franchise, Victoria actually confesses to Sienna saying that the head that's in the bird cage is actually, it's not Gabby. Art then places the head on the mantle and puts a pair of glasses on him. Yeah, Jonathan's off-screen death was interesting. Honestly, I'm kind of sad because I really want to see him more in the film, especially doing things now that he's a little bit older. And some were even saying, is that actually Jonathan? Or are they just kind of messing with her because they clearly did it like 5 seconds ago? But I don't know. This might have been the push that Sienna needed in order to, you know, become her true warrior self. Now, after unwrapping the sword, because they were like, oh, this is too cruel, we at least need to have her open up a present before we like end her. He selects the gift from the tree and then unwraps the sword and just absolutely goes full final girl battle. And let me tell you, it really does not disappoint because Art's got the chainsaw again. Definitely one of the better final girl moments that I've seen in a while. Having both of these characters just like slashing each other, throwing, chainsaw revving. They get bloody, they get bruised, they get cut. It's pretty freaking awesome. Sienna even overtakes Art, which is really, really cool. But then when Victoria's body kind of melts into a portal to hell, I was like, oh, damn. Yeah, this is where we're going. We're going to hell. I said it before, but we are going to hell. And then freaking Gabby falls in. Oh, shit. Then it ends with Art the Clown still walking around just on a bus, probably trying to find another vessel. Now, that's a lot to kind of unpack there, slightly breaking down some of the scenes. I know there's a lot of stuff and substance out of my, just kind of run through of the film. But let me just kind of share my overall thoughts on this. This movie was way better than I thought it was going to be, and really way better than it had any business being. The Terrifier franchise from the start is really meant to replicate a lot of the grindhouse films of the old. And I think that's why people enjoy the first Terrifier film so much, because it's the most consistently grindhouse tone. There's really not any plot. The acting's kind of okay. It is Art the Clown in his absolute meanest and diabolical form ever. There's not really much to it, you know? And I could definitely understand and respect why people like that one more, because it's Terrifier. It literally is what it is. 2 pulled up and said, let me take that, but let me try to add some more stuff and show off how Art the Clown could also be really kind of funny. And I think to a point they absolutely succeeded, and they showed everybody else that Art can be more than just a grindhousey mean clown. Now, I love Terrifier 2. It absolutely had a lot of issues. Pacing, editing, over bloated runtime. And sometimes it's kind of a hard film to get through just because there's so much you have to get through in order to get to the really awesome scenes. But clearly the potential was absolutely there. Like this was it. This was the beginning. And even though the story was kind of weird, I wanted to see where it was going. Now, the third one pulls up, and I think it's the best of both Terrifier films. Because even though there wasn't a massive plot, there is a plot. There is a direction. We still have some amazingly well done gore and some pretty diabolical moments. And plenty of times of Art the Clown being Art the Clown in the best way possible. On top of pacing, structure, cinematography, acting, dialogue. I'm not saying it's Oscar-worthy performances here, but I think Damien Leone did a really good job of just sitting in the director's chair and just kind of being like, okay, I'm gonna hire you for this, hire you for that, and just trust the process of movie making. And I really, really think that benefited. And I really think that worked out to his benefit. Now, personally for me, as far as like kills, like I said in the previous video too, like I still think the bedroom scene is worse. Really kind of the ending, because I mean, like Allie's been through so much, the salt, the bleach, the basically fillet of fish that's now known as her body, and still had that subtle energy to like wake up and still scream for help for mom. Like that's like, oh my God. Now, it's kind of to each his own, you know, when it comes to like, the bedroom scene, the hacksaw scene, like everybody has their preference, and honestly, that's totally fine. Terrifier 3 had consistently more gory moments, more well-paced throughout the whole runtime than like specific sections that you can almost like fast forward to while watching Terrifier 2. Now, where all this is going, I'm very interested in, because the whole like, it's pretty obvious that Santa's gonna try to go back and go through hell, and I really, really hope that Damien Leone just goes absolutely nuts in hell with all the character design, the creatures. I mean, he needs to go absolutely buck wild. And then also answer a lot of the questions that we potentially have from literally the second and third film. Who is Art the Clown? What kind of demon is he? What's the vessel demon surrounding Art the Clown? Where's the pale girl? What's the connection between Art the Clown, all these demons, and Sienna's dad? Like, it doesn't really bother me that much that we didn't get a lot of these answered questions in the third one, because like I said, I watched the movie for not really the plot. The whole thing's more of a spectacle for me, and that's kind of where I put my brain when watching these films. I enjoy the substance when it's there, but the substance to me is the gore and the spectacle and all the crazy things of just watching Art the Clown. And I severely enjoyed that while watching Terrifier 3. Is this movie for everybody? Absolutely the hell no. In fact, I am still shocked that there's so much mainstream media appraisal around Art the Clown that I genuinely like would have thought people would have walked into here after seeing him in like Spirit Halloween or Spencer's and been too disgusted and wanted to boycott the film or something like that. But in all reality, this movie's really not that bad, is it? I'm a seasoned veteran of horror and stuff, and I love looking at gore, I love looking at blood and all that kind of stuff. But even my wife, who loves horror movies, but is also not super heavy into the gore and stuff, watched this and was like, you know what? I was expecting worse. There were some very gnarly scenes, but I was expecting a lot worse. So if you've never seen Art the Clown, never seen a Terrifier film, I would almost start with this one. I mean, yeah, it's pretty visceral and disgusting and diabolical, but like, it's a good, solid movie. So please do yourself a favor, do the movie and the horror industry and indie media a favor. Please go see Terrifier 3 in theaters literally right now. And thank you very much for watching the video. And if you have any ideas of what I should talk about next or do a deep dive or a little bit of a breakdown, by all means, let me know in the comments below.